All right, y'all. We had such a strong reaction from going through the Deepak Chopra's human design chart that I couldn't help myself going down the rabbit hole just a little bit further. And I found Jeffrey Epstein's human design chart. It's disturbing and it's upsetting to think about the level of pain and destruction he manifested in his life and the enormous impact this should be having on all of society. I don't think we're done talking about it. I don't think we're done analyzing the emails. And I don't think we want this to get brushed under the rug, and we need to continue to speak about it and share our insights. I am a human design teacher. My name is Raquel Reyna. I guide my students in understanding themselves through their DNA code based on their human design. And so I like to look at current events and people and situations through the human design lens because it provides insight and support in viewing things from a detached perspective, gives us insight, feedback, things to look for, things to avoid, and ways to handle the energies and the aura mechanics that are happening. Right now, we're seeing a distrust of government and a distrust of tribal foundations. And this is one that is definitely hitting us hard. And I think it's going to create a huge wobble to the system in a lot of different areas. There's so many people that have been impacted through these emails. But before I go into Jeffrey Epstein's human design chart, I want to talk also about all the other people and the high profile and spiritual religious figures that have been mentioned in the Jeffrey Epstein files. And Deepak Chopra happens to be the primary figure who, if you didn't see my last video on him, I will post it in the description below. But Chopra expressed gratitude for their friendship. And in one controversial exchange, he joked that God is a construct and cute girls are real. So there were more, and they're in my video. The Dalai Lama appears approximately 169 times in the documents. However, the examinations show primary incidental references. Michael Jackson, I don't know why someone posted on my Facebook profile post that I made that Michael Jackson has been cleared. I wouldn't guess that at all. Pope John Paul, Sam Harris. There are a few more people that have been mentioned that I don't know much about, but I do think it's just important to kind of speak about it. Peter Attia, the longevity and wellness expert, who I don't know if you know him. It's important to kind of go through Noam Chomsky, Donald Hoffman, and a few others, but I think the primary person was Deepak Chopra. I just think it's important that we have a general sense and we become super conscious of what happens when people get high profile, super wealthy, have power, and expect us to give our authority, our sovereignty over to someone else. And that to me is something that we're all being asked and tasked to become super hyper aware about. So here's Jeffrey Epstein's chart. And I did research this pretty thoroughly to make sure I got the right time. So I do think that it is an accurate chart, and I find it incredibly interesting. So when I first looked at the chart, the thing that jumped out to me the most was this completely open ego and completely open solar plexus. So what this means is you have a man that is completely insecure, probably was wounded deeply in his masculinity of some kind. He has absolutely zero capacity to feel self-assured. And then when we have a completely open solar plexus here, we have the inability to process emotions. And so you really just take on the emotions and insecurity of all the people around you. And of course, it is an opportunity to have a superpower in these areas if you've learned how to process and you learn about it, which he obviously did not. The other thing I found pretty interesting was this gate 60, which is the old structure. So if you remember my video with DePak Chopra, he had the full channel here, the 360. So he was here to mutate and overcome the old power structure. But Jeffrey Epstein is hooked in quite powerfully. So because it is the line 4, that is his network, the old boys club, and probably the oldest, darkest networking that there is. And this is a primary part of his incarnation cross. Now, I'm not saying the 60 is dark. I'm saying that it's about holding on to old structures and being unable to release them to the new. And although if you're a conscious being that wants to evolve, you're going to see what things need to be moved forward and what things need to be let go of. Instead, if you're somebody in power, greed, control, and manipulation, and all of the crimes that he has been convicted of, or not necessarily convicted for all of them, but alleged, you see somebody who is grasping and holding on to the very dark patriarchy and control over women and abusive power, with blackmail and whatever else he had going on. And I'm not going to claim to know everything. So the other thing that's pretty interesting here is this 5027 and the 3457. So this is actually someone who could have been incredibly, and he probably was incredibly psychic and intuitive and knew exactly what to say to manipulate people. So the highest expression of this 2750 is really about the values of society. And what you're seeing here is somebody at the highest level passing down the highest values. What do they care about? What values do you want to pass down? And in this case, we're seeing the values that he passed down at the lowest common denominator, but he definitely did pass them down and probably knew exactly what to say to manipulate and control other people. And then we also see this unconscious struggle. So, and this is part of his incarnation cross, night gate 28. So there's a fight and there's a struggle. And we don't know exactly what he felt was important to fight for and what his struggle was, but he obviously didn't fight for the highest valor, but he was fighting in the lowest common denominator. And so we also find here this 1333, which, and the 56, the stories of the collective. So the secrets. Now the secrets are told to the gate 13, and what they usually do in the storytelling is they gather all of the history and the stories and they share with society what they've learned. The interesting thing is this report is actually what he is doing. He is reporting and sharing the stories, be it the dark shadow of all of the highest prominent figures in our history that we've witnessed in the leadership. He's actually reporting and has some probably illegally accrued the darkest stories in the history of the last, couple decades. It's actually kind of mind-boggling because that's what these files are doing, is showing us the underbelly of the high elite organized criminal behavior and how deep it goes, how far it runs, and the tendrils throughout the highest elite in our government, in the spiritual communities, the religious communities, in so many different communities across the board. And he gathered the information. A lot of people say it was a honey trap, or where he was documenting and filming people in compromising positions for money and control. Who knows exactly, because I think that all of those videos have not been released. So they're all there, but I don't believe they've all been released. The other thing I find really interesting is the 4-1 profile. Now, I was definitely thinking he was a line 6 because I see so many 6s fall from grace. It's a hard line number to self-actualize in because you have to emerge into the role model, and most of them do not. They powerfully fail. But the 4 is the old boys network, right? The old boys club is, I would say, the 64. You could definitely say that's where his network is, in the old formations that he was not going to let go of because it served him. And then the other thing, though, that is interesting is that the line 6 is here in the environment. And we see it here in the 33, the 19, the 7, and the 13. So this is a lot of the leadership here. And the 6 is where the secrets are brought into that gate 13, and the recording element is in that gate 13, and then this leadership is the gate 7. So those two areas were where he was supposed to see the shadows, see the dysfunction, learn from it, and then evolve into the role model. And so that is where he became infamous. And the stories he is telling are cracking open a very dark history in this country and other countries as well. And it would behoove us to ignore the stories and the emails and what we've seen. And right now, it really is a time in history where we need to understand all of the things that are coming up are not to scare us or to make us feel vulnerable. It's to empower our sovereignty, to know that we should never be giving over our power to those who are in leadership in our government, or anyone outside of ourselves at all, for that matter. Any teacher, any spiritual leader, anybody who says, I know more than you. We need to radically reclaim our sovereignty and our power, and know that no one has power over us except for what we give them. And I think the more this gets pounded in, the more we become aware of this, the more we realize that we have complete sovereignty, and that even though this is coming to fruition and we're seeing the truth, it's not to throw us into fear or discomfort, but to have insight and awareness and empowerment that we are control of who we give our power over to. We can see the truth, and we can stay in the center as the observer and make sure that we never give our power away to anyone else who is an abusive figure, or anyone that we get even any creepy crawlies or any types of feelings, negative senses based on our own inner authority. And learning this and learning how our own human design chart works and how other people's works helps. helps to see the shadow aspects where people did not overcome, did not live their hero's journey and their incarnation cross evolutionary stage, where they instead fell from grace. And unfortunately, this is one of the greatest reveals that we've seen in this country. And we will get through it. We will rise above, and we will learn from what we're witnessing. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How are you handling this? Are you emotional? Are you undefined? Are you feeling overwhelmed from all of the things that we're seeing out there? What is present for you? Let me know in the comments below, and let's continue the discussion so that we can grow and we can learn from this situation. Lastly, please subscribe. I cover current events based on the human design lens. I also do details on how you can learn your human design just a little bit more deeply. And I'm here to help empower each and every person during these coming changing times. This is a time when we're going to see a lot of uncertainty. I'll put a video on the changing of the wheel right now as well. So please, if you've gotten this far in the video, consider subscribing, being part of our community. We do have a Facebook group, we do offer classes, and we do a lot of support for people during these times of change. If this is interesting to you and you'd like to learn more about our classes, we do have a class. We do have classes that you can jump into and learn more about how this impacts your life, your family's life, community's life, your business, and how you can utilize this information for profound growth and personal development. So I'll put some links if you're curious and you want to learn more. I invite you to jump into some of our communities and our classes and explore the deeper side so that you can step into the highest expression of your calling, your destiny, your purpose.
कमर हिलावे लूं जहिया तू हाय करे लूं सिवान से चल के पटना तक राय काय करे लूं कमर हिलावे लूं जहिया तू गेट पे बाजे दीजे चांद पे सेट रे ओ कमरिया हाय हाय कमरिया करे जकास बिजली की तार रे तू लगे लूं फुल मसालेदार रे 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 कमरिया करे जकास बिजली की तार रे तू लगे लूं फुल मसालेदार रे रे आराम में बजे तेरा ही पे बैंड देख के चल तोहरा उड़ेला सैंड चप्पल गाड़ी पे चढ़ के निकल लू भोरे भोरे ही सबके नजर बदल लू घूम तू ऐसे जैसे पैर में झूला तोहर कमर पे फोकस कैले पूरा हुला हार्ड के स्टाइल बात पे फायर कुर्ती के अंदर टेंशन हायर तू बोले का हो बाबू दिल बोले आजा तू लिपस्टिक के रंग में भी गुलाब भी लहर बात देवघर से लेकर बलिया